For you, for the fans at home, I've really done my homework on this. Marcellus, when you play in college, when you play in the league, really in college, there are some dudes that are practice superstars. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
In college, you got some cats, one-handed catches. Give me that. The best pass rush moves you've ever seen in your life. In college, in practice, they go crazy.
Yeah.
But when the game come on, when the lights come on inside the stadium of 100,000 screaming, that same practice all-star nowhere to be found.
Where you at?
My point is very simple. The Bucs aren't Super Bowl contenders because in practice, non-primetime games, in practice against teams that don't have winning records, the Bucs go crazy. Bruce Arians calls his best games. He understands he has a running back in Ronald Jones that is tops in yards per carry. He understands that his non-superstar receiver in Scotty Miller is his best big play receiver. The Buccaneers in practice, Marcellus Wiley, they look amazing. What do I mean? 6-1 record against teams under 500. Ooh, in practice, these Buccaneers look like Super Bowl champions. But when the bright lights come on in primetime games, I don't see these same Bucs. Let me break it down for you since you're looking at me with your brow.
You gonna break it down? Let it be broke. Let it be broke.
Last 3 primetime games for the Buccaneers, Ronald Jones, 3 carries, 7 carries, 9 carries. 3 carries, 7 carries, 9 carries. But yesterday against the Vikings, Ronald Jones, 17 carries, I believe. Yesterday, Ronald Jones had the Buccaneers 120-plus yards on the ground. Yesterday, ain't nobody really watching. Scotty Miller, through 8 weeks, Marcellus Wiley, second on the Bucs in receiving yards, second on the Bucs in receptions, period. But then AB shows up, the great Antonio Brown, future first ballot Hall of Fame.
Damn right.
Scotty Miller, wait a second. He only has 7 targets?
Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller. But wait, you're playing the Vikings. Nobody's watching, Bruce Arians. You don't need to look like this coaching guru. Nobody's watching. So now you find Scotty Miller again, 48-yard touchdown pass. Now you find Ronald Jones again, 80 yards on the ground, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Now you find all these guys again. No, Marcellus, the Bucs don't look like Super Bowl contenders. What they look like to me is that practice all-star in college who you knew when nobody was watching, dude went crazy. But as soon as the whole world started watching, he wasn't the same guy.
I love that take. Love that take. But you know me. Got to take some of that take and make it my take. I think you got caught up in the wrong P word. You kept talking about practice. And I think this team is a contender because they're thinking about the playoffs. You keep talking about how they haven't shown you fully what they're capable of, and what you've seen to this point makes you think that they're not a contender. I disagree with that totally. This is how it goes when you're talking about Tom Brady, the GOAT, and any team he's on now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you give them a chance, they will show out in the dance. That's what Tom Brady's about. That's what Tom Brady's always done. Let me start here with Tom Brady before I expand into an umbrella conversation about the team at large. It's Tommy time. It's time to show you when Tom Brady matters most, because I don't know how Tom Brady practices. I hear it's stellar, like his play is during the regular season and playoffs. But I can admit that this year's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride in terms of who Tom Brady's been in the regular season. But when it's playoff time, the right P word, look at these numbers. Against other prolific all-time great quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, playoff appearances, of course, Tom Brady's going to be up there at the top 3. So he's sharing the top lead with Drew Brees. But let's talk about wins and losses. We know that Tom Brady wins when it matters most. When the P is playoffs, not practice, as you want to talk about, Acho. When it's talking about yards per game, Tom Brady is leading Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers in terms of playoff performance yards per game. Actually, he is. Touchdowns and interceptions. When people always want to say, yeah, Tom Brady dinks and dunks, and he doesn't really move the ball down the field. So far, the numbers don't suggest that. Passer rating, all things added up. Because Tom Brady plays complimentary football, he loses in that column. But that takes me to the umbrella conversation. Acho, on the break bye week they had, they were trying to golf together, Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. You read that, right? I was there. I went out there. You know, I had to get to Florida real quick. You ain't the only one who could travel around the world. I went out there and eavesdropped a little bit. You know, Byron Leftwich, my boy, my former teammate, my dog. You know, we all out there. That's our foursome. B left, me, them. Anyway, we out there getting it. I started to eavesdrop and hear the conversation of everyone is caught up on the play calling. Is Tom Brady approving the plays? Is this his playbook? You know what they talked about the whole time? Every hole. I was like, come on, man, move the cart. They kept talking about philosophy, philosophical differences, and you pointed them out, but you just didn't know where it came from. It came from them coming to agreeing minds. This is a team now that focused more on the running game. They committed to it. You talked about what Ronald Jones did out there. You also saw more pre-snap motion, more play-action passes, which led to a more fluid Tom Brady. Now, he didn't have his most prolific game because this is the building blocks of what they're agreeing to do, which is when you run the ball, think about how this is compromising the passing game, how it's going to affect the defense, and even special teams. That's the way Tom Brady learned how to play football in New England. Complementary football. Bruce Arians plays a completely different style. Now you're seeing the merging of the minds, and it's going to show its way in the playoffs.
You mentioned philosophy. Let's talk football philosophy. You can play winning football and lose games.
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
And
Facts.
you can surely play losing football and win games.
Yes.
You can do that.
Oh, look at you.
The Buccaneers yesterday, they played losing football and still won. Let me break this down.
Okay.
The Minnesota Vikings kicker, Dan Bailey, missed 3 field goals plus an extra point. That hasn't happened in 60 years, missing 3 field goals and an extra point without converting either a field goal or an extra point. The Buccaneers caught a historical break. A historical break. It's been since 1961 that's happened. What does that mean? The Minnesota Vikings left 10 points on the field. The Minnesota Vikings lost the game by 12 points. You do the math. It's a nail-biter if not for 3 missed field goals plus mixed extra point. What else do I mean? To win football games, I need you to have time of possession. I need you to stop the run. I need you to win the turnover battle. I need you to run the football. Minnesota Vikings had the ball for 39 minutes. That's winning football. Minnesota Vikings had 162 rushing yards, more rushing yards than the Buccaneers. That's winning football. The Minnesota Vikings, 4 for 5 on 4th down. 80% on 4th down. That's winning football. So what I'm telling you is very simple. The Buccaneers actually played losing football and yet still won the game. Marcellus, I'm going to end this lap like this. Track and field. You love it? I love it. Let's talk laps.
There this weekend.
In track and field, I go to world championships. I went to Doha. I've been to London for world championships. And what's so interesting is I see some cats at practice in track who, again, in 100 meters, they will, gun goes off, they take off, they do their thing. But then, Marcellus, when the game, when not the game, the bright lights of the Olympics or world championships come around, they always false start. And I'm like, why do you false start now that the bright lights are on? Bruce Arians against the Vikings, Marcellus, with no one watching, sure, he'll give Ronald Jones 18 carries. He's not trying to shine. Sure, Scotty Miller, go in there, little guy. Go in there, slugger. Go in there, sport.
Hey, Sparky.
Go in there, champ.
Come on.
Yeah, with the bright lights, man, he's not worried about it. But then as soon as the playoff prime time show up, Bruce Arians is like, wait a second. I'm just as good as Tom Brady at my job. Hey, AB, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Gronkowski. Let me get all my dogs out there. Even if all my dogs aren't as productive as Scotty Miller, hey, Tom Brady, we're going to throw the ball 50 times. But, Coach, what about Ronald Jones? Don't worry about Ronald Jones. We're throwing the ball 50 times a game. I'm the guru. Don't talk to me about this game against the Vikings and proving they're Super Bowl contenders. Don't get bamboozled, Marcellus Wiley.
Oh, here we go. I love that take. You went to Doha? You went to all those places?
It's hot.
And you went, how in the hell? You go to University of Texas where the Texas Relays is like a destination. We all want to go there.
I'll be there too.
But you went to Doha too.
I got to see the cream of the crop, bro. What you mean?
I love track. What's her name? What's her name? What's her name, Otto? Come on. Ain't nobody traveling that far to we're out to track meet that's on TV, but I love you for that. I'm a little jealous. You talk about losing football. Is having 6 sacks losing football? That's what they had yesterday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is Tom Brady not being sacked at all? Losing football. Is Tom Brady with 0 turnovers? Losing football. You got to use Tom Brady's words and take them as evidence of what they're trying to do. This is what he said. Tom Brady was talking about how they made progress over the bye week and what they saw from yesterday. He said, just finding a rhythm, finding ways to win games and making plays in situational football like we did at the end of the first half and at the end of the game. Sound like Belichick. Just control the middle 4, as they say. 2 minutes before half, 2 minutes after half, and then obviously finish the game strong. That's what you saw from this team yesterday. You're not just talking about the issues and miscues of the Vikings. Let's talk about how they were capitalized, how they were taken advantage of by the Buccaneers. This is a completely different philosophy in terms of approach. And because of that approach, you're going to see a more efficient system. How many times have we watched the Patriots over their 20-year dynasty and sat there and said, before the game, the other team looks more talented. During the game, the Patriots don't look as explosive as the other team. But after the game, damn, the Patriots wiped them boys out. That's the mission of these Buccaneers. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs held on to beat the Dolphins Sunday. But we'll tell you if they're actually